Hey, and welcome to the final round of the Sunshine Summit for today. Today is the launch day of the Sunshine Summit for August 2018. My name is Heather, and I am the host of the Sunshine PowerCuts Podcast, which is a podcast that has two types of episodes. Sunshine ones offering inspiration drawn from nature, and in the PowerCut ones, I share a little bit about my journey living off the power grid in rural New Zealand. And today I have been very grateful to be joined by two amazing guests, with my third guest waiting in the wings to talk to you. So we had Derek from the Sometimes Geek podcast and Rolling Misadventures, and we just spoke with Rhett Hall from Cardinal Branding and Design's Braintrust Network and Warfly podcast. And today we have Anthony and Steph from the Off-Center Archers podcast. I'm very excited to bring them to you. So here they are. Hopefully they're here. Hang on a second. Here they are.
No, we're here.
Hey. Welcome to the Sunshine Summit.
Hey, so I can't see us, but I hope we're coming through okay. I don't know where we are.
It will switch over shortly. There's a bit of a delay. So.
Oh, hey, there I am.
So I just introduced you guys. So I met Anthony in the Podcastage Discord server. A lot of connections I've made there. It's a great place for people to come together, and in there, I think at the time you were looking at sort of changing out mics for your podcast, the Off-Center Archers podcast. So Anthony and Steph, if you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast and you as a couple podcasting together, that would be amazing.
Okay, where do you want to start?
With the joke?
With the podcast originally was kind of the podcast was actually started as just like off a whim. And it was more so to give us something more to do together as a married couple.
Well, you were actually originally supposed to do it with a friend of ours.
Yes, I was supposed to start it with a friend of ours.
And then I was being a smart aleck.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep it PG with my mouth.
Very good. So, no, I was supposed to start a podcast with another friend of mine, but the work schedules between the two of us didn't work out correctly. So we decided, all right, we already have the microphones and whatnot. Stephanie was just getting into archery, and I'm 40 and I've been shooting since I'm 14, so 26 years.
We're gonna get him a walker soon.
No, thanks. So, and it was like, okay, how about we try to go and me and her start the podcast as another hobby for us to do as a couple, give us something extra to look forward to work on together.
Yeah. And
just something we can do to enjoy shooting.
And plus, there wasn't really any podcasts out there that were more just from the average Joe kind of working couple.
Yeah,
I'm not really working. So, housewife? And it's always an expert or someone teaching or someone just going on and on about what they're doing and how to do it and technical. And we're just kind of out there. So it was kind of just a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just talk about everything. Well, not including archery and then just random.
Yeah.
Random.
A lot of the archery podcasts out there, like you said, are kind of run by guys who are ex-pro archers or current pro archers. And it's a lot of answering technical questions. And half the time you have to be an engineer to understand how they're explaining it to you, because they'll talk about specific techniques in tuning a bow and whatnot. And we kind of just wanted to go at it of, we're having fun and this is what we're learning along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did archery start for you? Because that obviously came before the podcast, I'm guessing.
Well, with Anthony, because of how old he is, it was mostly like sticks, string.
It was not sticks. No, me, it was actually right before freshman year of high school.
Do you want to say the year?
92. Yeah, I'm old. So, which is fine. It actually had been kind of like a tradition in my family. My grandfather shot a bow. My uncle shot and hunted. My father shot and hunted. So it was kind of like, okay, now it's your turn. You're old enough. And with living in New York at the time, there was a certain age where kids were actually allowed to possess their own bow. So that's when I actually got mine.
And then when we started this podcast, actually. So 2.5 years.
You started shooting 2 months before we started the podcast. You started shooting in June, and we started the podcast in August.
Yes, that is true. And that's not including my high school class that they had when they were still allowed in school, which now it's banned.
Okay, I didn't know that.
What?
archery. Well, no, in some states, not all states.
Right.
Some states have banned archery in school. They're not allowed to. I mean, that's another topic, I guess. I don't want to run away on someone else's podcast.
It's all right. Well, we're learning more about you and celebrating that connection. So that's awesome. Rhett in the chat said they're Under Armour fans, so I'm sold.
Stephanie actually used to work for them.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. I used to work for them, and our closets are filled with Under Armour stuff.
Yes, lots of Under Armour.
Awesome. You got a new fan in Rhett, if he wasn't already. So the archery thing, the podcast has been going for 2.5 years. And over that time, you've made a lot of connections. Is it 2 years?
No,
2 years.
This month will be the end of this month will be 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. Sorry,
It's actually 2 days before our anniversary, our wedding anniversary.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, 2 days before.
Yeah, August 25th, and our anniversary is the 27th.
That's awesome. So we just celebrated a wedding anniversary that's happening today, and yours is coming up next weekend or the weekend after. Yeah.
Yeah, very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Oh, jeez.
How long have you been married for?
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Or
So
together
horrible.
for and then
13
married
years.
for?
Oh, no, we've been together for 16 and a half years, and we're married for 13.
Yeah, 13.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That is so cool.
I always have to think twice about it.
Yeah, she's horrible at dates. Horrible at dates.
It's like, wait, I got how many more left?
It feels like forever. I don't want to get in
No,
trouble.
Sometimes, yes. And when she talks like this, absolutely.
That's when I notice the life insurance policy getting bumped up on my name.
I see. Now you said that. I ain't never bumping that shit up.
yours will get lowered.
Yeah, exactly.
So in one of your latest episodes, you were talking about how that you've kind of got like a competitive nature, which has kind of seen you well because you've both inspired and encouraged each other to kind of achieve and do your best in things. And I think that's amazing. So if you want to talk a little bit about that and your connection with each other, that would be amazing.
I think the first day we met, we've been competitive because I've always been a lot better at things, and it looks bad about him because it's the male thing. And okay, tell your side.
Go ahead.
What? I was going to say, yes, we're very competitive with each other, and you try to throw me under a bus. Wow, thanks.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, that was my fault.
I don't even know where to start after that. I don't even know where to start after that. Wow.
See, this is how we get off track on our podcast, because I kind of just go like off left field, or no, that's right, so left field. And but no, we've always been competitive ever since
Very
we've
much so.
been together. But we've
but
liked
everything
the same
we
things
do
too.
is we do it together though. We find something and then we get stuck in it for a while. Like for years, it was anything to do with performance cars. I was driving. Both of us had all-wheel drive Mitsubishis. I had an Evo. Stephanie had an all-wheel drive Eclipse, and I was working at a mechanic shop building race cars and stuff like that. So it was just naturally that our cars got modified along the way. And Stephanie was driving around in a 450, 460 horsepower Eclipse. And then my Evo was doing about 550. So, but I mean, everything ranges from there. It was the stuff with the cars. The only thing you always, I have no talent when it comes to artistry. Painting, drawing. I might be able to draw a stick figure. Otherwise, no. I'm horrible. Stephanie's very artistic like that. My talents have always been more hand driven, I guess is a good way to put it. I'm mechanically inclined, whereas Steph is artistically inclined.
Yeah. And you, Steph, have shooting skulls, which is you're designing handmade custom bow slings and things. So you're using that creativity.
Yeah, so it's and honestly, it started out as a I did our own, and then it became more of a stress reliever, especially with the 2 kids running around all day. And then I was just making so many that I was like, well, I got to do something. I can't just keep piling them up in the house. And we have 2 bows. We're not buying anymore. Well,
at that time we had 2 bows. We now have 4 or 5.
We have, that's my point right there. And I just decided to sell them, and it gives me a reason to make them and make more. And we went down to Florida for one of the swap meets, and we did a shoot. That was where we did the Iron Man shoot. Well, no, you did the Iron Man. I did a swap meet where I was trying to sell all my stuff and get it out there. And and whatnot. So that became more of a here and there kind of thing. And then now it's I'm trying to progress it into more of a constant job.
Yeah.
Air quotes job.
That's fine. She's also been she doesn't give herself a lot of credit for it. She's also been getting a lot of headway when it comes to these the slings and slings, binocular straps,
Slings and things.
Well, because there's a lot of very, like, what's a good way to say it? Influential people in the business of archery now that have noticed that she does them.
Oh.
And guys who are actually pro staff and sponsored by certain companies.
Oh yeah,
they
well
now
we
have
can't
her
say names
slings.
though
Yes,
because
yeah.
Okay, I wanted to catch you before I just bleh.
No,
Fair
thanks.
enough. Yeah. How did you find the swap meet
But-
thing, sharing your things there? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Go
So
ahead.
in that when you showed them there, and how have you found, like, in-person stuff, but also on Etsy, how have you found connecting with people to draw interest in them and sell them?
Honestly, that that is probably the most difficult part is getting it out there and connecting, and because it's not a face-to-face. So when you're just with you to the computer, and then you have to get computer to everyone else, getting it, like, the words spread around and having people actually see it that's the most difficult part. It's not like the swap meet. I could talk to people and, get them a more sense of what I'm doing and what I make and everything that I have. Whereas a computer, you're relying on someone to search for you and sharing pictures and, something that I might have already that someone will end up liking. If they don't know it's there, then, the connection's never going to be made. So, the way the internet is now with all these online shops and everything is great because I don't have to worry about setting up a shop or a physical location or anything. So it cuts down that, but you're missing the whole person to person.
Yeah.
So, which is also nice with our podcast is that I kind of, I don't want to say leeched on, but I kind of hitched a ride on our podcast to try, and whoever's listening, obviously they like archery in some manner, or because I can't see them just listening just because they love us, or maybe me. Maybe through them listening, and then they'll see it, and then kind of just spreading. But it's starting to get there because I know with the one who's actually with the bow company, he's starting to talk to everyone that shoots with him, and then that whole community is kind of spreading around. So it's also doing good for us for our podcast because the more they talk about with as far as my store, and he's telling them where he heard us or that we have a podcast, so more people are starting to listen.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, I think so. And just to cut in, Alan from Soundspeeds is in the chat, and he said that he couldn't convince his wife of 14 years to do a podcast or anything with him. So it's awesome that you guys do it together. And Rhett said, woohoo, Florida, or woo, Florida. Adam said he did a podcast with his wife for a year, but they had to stop once she decided to go back to school. Derek
That's a
from
bummer because I
Sometimes-
used to listen to it.
Yeah, that was Mum and Dad Cuss a Little, and it was a good podcast.
Yes, that was a funny podcast.
Yeah, they didn't sugarcoat parenting, and it was just their experience, and it was...
No.
Because parenthood is not sugarcoated.
No.
And anyone who sugarcoats it is setting someone up who hasn't had a kid yet for big failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Or a lot of nights crying alone, crying yourself to sleep.
With the kids crying too, and it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
everyone's crying.
Yeah. And Derek from Sometimes Geek said life needs to get behind our projects, and I think that would be kind of awesome. One thing that I've noticed that, because we met in the podcast, is just called Community Server thing, that it's been a pretty good community there, and you've had a bit of help tech-wise through there. So if you wanted to talk a little bit about those, that'd be cool.
Well, with the group, it's become a huge help. I mean, I joined that group just because I needed more direction, because us wanting to do the podcast was like, okay, we're going to try it and see what happens. And we were using the Yeti on interview mode and stuff like that. We started off like everyone else. We bought everyone has this on YouTube mic. So, and it was like, okay, I had been watching Bandrews. Shoot, man, I think I was I subbed to Bandrew back in, I think I was like number 603 or something like that.
Okay, yes, you're the #1 fan. Let's everyone acknowledge.
See, this is why we argue right there. So, and I was looking for more direction, and I mean, the help that was in there became so. I mean, well, the one is the community, and the community of guys and everyone that's in that group is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to help everybody get better. You know, and I always got help from you, from Bandrew, from Larko, from Humbug. You know, it came down to like the simple things I would ask for, you know, to be criticized on purpose. And it was like, hey, dude, you know, adjust this portion of your EQ, maybe your of course, Bandrew had to comment because of you. You know, adjust your EQ because I know my voice is very, very heavy. So, and I mean, just the help in the group and the connections with everybody. Everybody talks to each other on Saturday night during the voice chat room and everything like that. It's just there's not enough things nice you could say about the group because everyone wants to help everybody.
Yeah, it's been amazing. But also hearing you take on that advice, because people can ask advice and then not do anything with it, but you actually took it on board and you ended up with the mics that you're talking with us now on, and you've done other things like the road clips where you chat on the way to and from places, which is really cool. So do you want to share a little bit about that?
The road clip thing was actually just a random idea. That was her idea, actually. Yes, I'm not gonna lie. She can point to herself. That was all of her idea. But when I had asked everyone in the room, everyone thought it was going to be, okay, we're going to go on the road. We're going to go to a hotel and we're going to record there. Something to have portable wise. I'm like, no. I actually physically want to record while I'm driving. And it became, like everybody was, no one's done that. Okay. So I purposely looked up microphones.
Well, originally I was talking about a mic that you plug into a cell phone and...
Yeah.
But my technical knowledge is like not zero. I'm more on like the negative side. Like when I talk about technology or any parts, like it makes other people that have some knowledge dumber. Like I suck knowledge from
suck
others.
The brain cells out of the room.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I mean no one had ever done it before, and so I purposely got advice from Bandrew and a couple of the other guys of purposely what to look for. Humbug actually also did a couple of lav mic tests for me because he has a couple down in Australia.
Cool.
And what we found was that the road noise.
Stargate knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does.
Happy wife.
Exactly, yes. The road noise seemed to be the biggest problem. So I purposely went after certain microphones that have a certain low cut ratio. And along with the H4 with the low cut enabled on there, it actually kills pretty much all the road noise completely.
That's awesome.
So, but that's, all that research and looking into stuff all has to do with the guys in the group. Everyone, hey, try this, try that. Who was already testing out labs? Who was testing this out? Who was testing that out? So,
yeah, it's awesome to be able to draw from that pool of experience. We got a question from Bandrew about what's a hobby that you've picked up over the last 13 years that's been the most fun to work on together outside of archery?
Podcasting.
Yay.
Duh.
Yeah. And yeah, Stargate Pioneer did say it's always her idea. Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
see,
that's exactly
he gets it.
How exactly you don't get divorced. And actually, for sound speed, because of his comment about how he couldn't get his wife to do stuff with him like that, I couldn't get Stephanie to go to the archery range with me for me asking for 10 years. I was like, come on, let's go. No, next time. And for 10 years, it was no, next time, no, next time. And I finally got fed up. I'm like, no, come on, let's go. You're coming. And the first time you shot was actually on one of the recurves that I had. And it was like we showed her how to pull it back. She got in the correct stance, whatever. And the first arrow flew. Needless to say, 3 hours later, Stephanie owned a compound bow.
Wow.
It was also my birthday, so that kind of helped.
So it was like, I always make the comment of like people that hesitate to get into archery. There's some people that shoot it and they're like, okay, it's cool. And then there's some people, as soon as they let the arrow go, you just see their eyes like wide and they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. And that was her.
It's very stress relieving too.
Cool.
Honestly, it's that little break that we need. That's legal and non-violent, because I'm not shooting my husband or anyone else.
And there is a difference between
fine.
hunting and archery, right? So that's something that is a bit of a thing that's
by
happened
far.
and you're like, we've got to make that message clear through the podcast and things that you do, that you are archery, not necessarily hunting, and they are different.
Right. Well, let's see, like we've mentioned hunting and stuff like that, and everyone knows that's kind of where it's going to lead up to, and we have our reasons for it and stuff like that. And a lot of our reasons has to do more of the fact of we're really not okay with the way factory farming goes.
Yep.
So we prefer to have as much possible organic meat, free range, and realistically, the only way to do that is to go hunt, and which is fine with me and her. You know, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. And I think also the idea of just earning everything you do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a comedic joke that Joe Rogan says when people say hunters are murderers and butchers and whatever. And it's like, okay, well, you're at home stuffing your face with a cheeseburger. Did you think that cow committed suicide? No, you just committed murder by checkbook. So, you know, you didn't do it or earn it yourself. And it's more kind of like there's several reasons why we're going to hunt. But for right now, I mean, we just talk about archery and what may possibly lead into it.
Yeah.
I guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're definitely going to be going out hunting. I mean, this year, what we're trying to plan on doing is because since he's so old, he's grandfathered into the hunting license, so he just has to basically pay for it, and that's it. I'm the one that has to do the extra steps because I'm so young.
You have to do an online class. You don't even have to go anywhere. You have to do an online class.
So what we're thinking of is basically taking one out to hunt, and then I'd be videotaping, and then going through everything there.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, on top of the hunting, we also wanted to do more 3D events and ASA and IBO events and stuff like that, and kind of do it from both ends, because usually you get a podcast that's just hunting or just the event side.
Yeah.
And you don't really get one too much. There are a couple out there, but then again, you start diving into the experts, like the guys who've been shooting for years and years and years, and they do know what they're talking about and they're great at it. But you're getting points of views from a learning, like a teacher student kind of perspective. We want to kind of give it as a as we learn perspective, like if your neighbor's doing it, or a guy you work with, or someone down the road, and you're like, oh, and you're just talking to them as a normal person. That aspect is kind of what we're getting into from both sides. We kind of want to cover everything. So
yeah,
we shall see about that. But that gets into video.
Yeah, but that's exciting, and it's another way of connecting with what you're doing too. Because like, I love audio podcasts, but the visual thing is something else. And I love the photos that you had from your trip to Florida, and that one was, so that was at 3D hunting. Can you tell us a little bit more about that event?
We did two of them while we were there.
Yeah.
I did two. Stephanie did one.
Yeah.
On Saturday was an event called the Iron Man. And basically what that is we did a 3D archery round, which is basically you're shooting at 3D models of animals. And there's certain point score rings. You get 5 points. There's a 5-point ring, 8-point, 10-point, and 12-point. And it was 15 animals, 1 shot per animal.
Okay.
And then after that portion of it, we had to do a full field round, which is variable distances everywhere from 5 yards to 80 yards. And that was 54 arrows. And then what we had to do after that, when there was a break, and because it was extremely hot.
Yeah.
And I don't think they planned it very well, because by the time we started the last portion, it was the hottest portion of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right at noon.
Right.
Yeah.
The last portion was what they call a 600 round. Every arrow is worth up to 10 points. And what they did was they split it by 200-point increments. At 200 points were set up at 40 yards, 200 points were set up at 50 yards, 200 points were set up at 60 yards. And normally when you have events, there's only one of those types of events per day. And we did 3 events in one day.
Yeah. And what was the setting like where they had it? Because you said it was hot, but I saw some pictures and it looked like, what was the kind of location like?
The 600 round was out in the middle of open field.
Basically, where the targets were, it was an open field. And then the 3D the 3D lanes where some were partial covered.
Right. Some are
And
partial.
then where I was, where they were doing this, the area with the tables for the swap meet was had a lot of tree coverage. So it was kind of half and half. It wasn't like all no coverage or trees all over the place. It was kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. But I have to say, there is that one older woman that was teaching kids. They had kids doing this for one, which is great that they were able to last that long. Yeah. And then, but there's a woman going with them, teaching the three of them. And she had to have been in her 60s, I think she said.
Yeah, late 60s.
She made a joke about this 60-year-old woman, in this heat. And she was exhausted by the last couple rounds because
it was a rough day.
It was the sun, right where they had to shoot, the sun was like directly on her, and it was hot. Yeah, I was in the shade.
It got to the point where when she was shooting, she would literally shoot and not go get her arrows. The rest of the guys would go get her arrows for her to keep her out of the sun.
Yeah. Well, that's good that they helped her, because that would be pretty intense. Yeah. How do you enjoy being out? Oh, sorry.
No, but I was just gonna say the 3D the next day, the 3D.
Well,
event,
that was really early.
Yeah, that was a lot earlier, so that didn't even really get that hot. Plus, it was a lot shorter too. So
well, that was more arrows also. That was 15 targets at 30 arrows on Sunday. On Saturday, it was 15 for 15.
Okay.
So,
yeah. How do you enjoy being out and about instead of being in the range, or vice versa? Like, do you like both? And yeah, because I know that you guys get out as a family, which is also really awesome, and you go for walks together as a family. But getting out and doing archery outdoors as well as archery in the range. You know what? It's I can't really compare them.
You can't,
because here's the tricky part. On our son's good days, he will sit, he'll play his games, and he'll eat his snacks, and he'll behave. And that's great. And I like him being there, and I like him being around, seeing everything, because he's kind of starting getting into it, because he's still only 3.5. But on the bad days, I would say not as enjoyable.
No, not at
all. But you know what? We do want to try to get him involved with everything. We don't want to just drop him off at someone's house or a babysitter all the time. We want him to be involved in what we're doing. So, when he's in school, he's actually going to be going back to school in 2 weeks. No, a week. Oh.
Did you see her perk up when she said that?
A week. So, while he's in school in the morning, we'll be able to go shooting more, because we'll just have our daughter. She usually sleeps through it, or you give her a Tupperware top and she's good.
Awesome.
I mean, like a plastic top, and then she's good. Or you give her something small, like our son's cup, and she's entertained. It's the greatest thing in the world. So I have to say, it's not like we like one or over the other. It depends on our kids.
Yeah.
It depends on what mood they're in to say if we like one over the other. And if you're listening for music in the background, that's our daughter's videos.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, can we hear the people's cell phones upstairs that loud?
Nope. He hit 40, so his memory is like.
We've got a question that Banjo noticed that you both have tattoos. Did y'all ever get matching tattoos?
Yes.
Okay, wait. So, so we got matching tattoos, not at the same time.
No.
I got mine like 2 years before we even met.
No.
Yeah. It's called a fake ID.
Oh, okay.
And I got mine, and then he got mine a couple years after we got together. And then I actually started doing tattoos myself. So then I did the majority of mine. So I did my arm, my foot, my leg.
The foot. Ugh.
And because I have half my left leg is covered. And then I did Anthony's forearms.
Both forearms, my
side,
left elbow.
His leg. I think that's it.
Yep. Just about.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he drew the dragon that's on my back.
Yeah, but no, like I love you forever with initials. No, we didn't do any of that.
Oh,
Can you tell us?
But you could put.
Stargate wants a matching tattoo.
Hey, you could get a tattoo says #1 Fanthony. Because this comment.
I'm never gonna live that down now.
or he can get that tattoo because you're his number one.
No.
With an arrow going through it, heart.
Yeah.
Banjo, it's okay. You could hate my wife. It's all good.
What is the tattoo that is both the same? Did you say that one there?
Yeah, that one. So it actually, we have a lot of work to do because life happens, and a lot of it's unfinished. And mine was finished. I don't know. I can't really. And so eventually we'll get back to finishing because I want to end up with 2 sleeves. I want my legs covered. I want to be probably like 50% covered because I'm just so like pale, sickly white that it help. I don't need to get tanned by the sun. I don't have to worry about, that harm to my skin. I just cover it. It'll be all good.
Oh, jeez.
We've got another question for you.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest connection that you've made in the archery world and then also in the podcast world? So it's 2 questions there.
Oh.
So wait, connection, like more of a connection with us or outside connection? So as far as people we've met to help us connection?
Yeah. Outside of you guys.
Okay, so that's more you because you're the one who's actually been making more connections for technical wise. But we also met 2 of the professional archers at the range.
Yes, actually, yes.
Who loved our daughter because she never cried.
Actually,
everyone loves babies that don't cry.
Oh yeah, everybody does, of course. Except for right now when she's teething.
Oh, she's so cute. Meanwhile, she's sleeping nice. But no one says that about a screaming baby. Like, oh, she's screaming so wonderful.
Yeah, well, actually, we've
Can I hold her?
As of right now, we've met four pro archers, technically. We met the Wallaces, who live here in South Carolina, about 45 minutes from us. Jack is actually a professional archer that shoots all competitions. He's sponsored by PSE, and his wife Sharon, who is a longtime Matthews shooter, who is one of the, I want to say, top 3 most dominating female archers in the world.
Yeah, she's doing really well.
She just won the IBO championship again. So yeah, she's and they're both absolutely very friendly and super nice people. And then when we were in Tennessee, we met the Baileys, the father and the son, who are ranked number 1 and 4 in the world for what they call trad archery, traditional archery, which is wood bow, no sights, no arrow rest. It's and more so instinctive shooting. You have to know where the arrow is going to go by feel.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder. Okay. You don't have the extra sights. You don't have the extra. I don't want to say cheating.
Oh, now they're hashtagging Fandrew.
Fandrew. Tat Drew. It's a band too. You should make a little song about that.
So Bandrew's next mic review has to be Tattoo Bandrew theme song.
Yeah.
Fanthony got a band to Tat Drew. I'm trying to read what they're tagging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not musically inclined, so I'm not going to sing it. No. They'll exit out real quick.
They'll come up with it. I'm sure they'll hash something out. But just going back to your connections, is there someone you wanted to tee up to talk with? Like, I think you were making appointments to go and see that, or did you do a tour of something place? Or...
Well, we're
the Obsession Factory.
Yeah, yes. That's it.
Okay, so sorry, you can go.
Because Obsession Bows is right down in Georgia from us. I think it's about a 2.5 hour drive. It's not very far. So I want to try and see if we can get a factory tour, just because it's close. And one of the main reasons, what are they typing? Oh, Jesus.
I think they want a bit of a karaoke session or something.
Yeah, Stargate, stop instigating. That's not nice.
Wait, is that $100 American dollars, or is that $100 converted from something else? That'll be like $50.
It's quite a lot of money.
But one of the main reasons I would want to go to see Obsession, out of all the bow companies I've shot recently, and I've been shooting PSE forever.
And ever.
So right now, Obsession is probably the only one that can probably make me switch to their bow, because it's a smaller company. Everything is personally hand-built, customizable. There's so many options with their bows when you get them from the factory that you can see the value in it. Like, I've seen the videos of the actual bow techs assembling each bow as it's ordered, and it's outstanding. It's not like this huge factory setting. It's, it's a company that builds 20 bows a day, not 500 bows a day.
Yeah. And you can see it in the quality and the value in them and the way that they present their brand.
They've come from a very small company to right now, in 5 years, they're probably the company that's making the biggest wave in the archery industry.
Yeah. And so are they your current supplier of bows, or someone that you use?
No, right now we both shoot PSEs just because I've been shooting PSEs for years, and it's when Stephanie first started shooting a bow, I always recommend a specific bow, and that's the PSE Stinger X. And it's because of the fact that the bow is so adjustable that anyone from a...
Hold on. Our daughter is crying.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So, but, I always recommend a certain bow. And it's just because of its adjustability range. It's got 2 different settings on the cam. It's a bow that can go from a 70-pound max all the way down to 28 pounds.
Yeah.
So, and it can go, I believe, from a 31-inch draw down to a 24.5. So you're talking a person who is under 5 foot all the way to a person who's 6'2" can shoot this bow.
So it's versatile.
So you can put this bow in the hand of extremely. Yeah. You can put this bow in the hand of a 12-year-old all the way to an adult. And it's so worth its value because they sell the bow for only $300.
Wow. I can imagine it gets very expensive in the archery industry, and having a good connection with the equipment that you're using is really important in order to have a good experience in archery.
Oh, yes. Archery can get quite expensive. Like, best example, like I said, Stephanie's bow was $300 brand new. And that was without accessories. I put a sight on it, and I put the arrow rest on and everything else like that.
Yeah.
The bow she's upgraded to now, because she's much more experienced. She's extremely consistent. And also she gave me 2 great kids, so I got her the best bow I could get her. Yeah. I got her a PSE Evolve 35. It's a longer bow. It's a 35-inch axle to axle bow. It can adjust the cams from a 90% let off down to 80%. You can change it to a different module to make it go even faster. It's another very versatile bow.
Yeah.
But that bow retails for $1,000 with nothing on it. So but you could tell the craftsmanship quality from the Stinger that's $300 to this Evolve bow. It's there's no way to compare the two. The smoothness, everything is completely different about the two.
Yeah. And then I know that Steph's seeing to your daughter at the moment, but you also got an invitation to a wedding that you're going to go to, and you were kind of intrigued by it, that because there's going to be a little bit of extra activities that are happening outside. It's like a 3-day event as well, which is kind of amazing. So
yes. Yeah. It is my cousin Christina is getting married to her fiance Tony. Tony and Christina are also both archery shooters and bow hunters. And their wedding is a 3-day spectacle is a good way to say it. mean, Friday there's a giant welcome thing, barbecue. We're staying on the resort property. We have like our own cabin and everything like that. A 2-bedroom cabin, matter of fact, because we have our kids.
Nice.
And Saturday morning, you could either go hiking, or they're setting up an archery range for all the archery shooters to be involved with. And now we have other family members who are getting in on it.
Yep.
That also want to shoot. And they're getting married Saturday afternoon, and then the party's gonna go from the afternoon till I believe it's 2:00 in the morning.
Can I backtrack for a second?
Yes, dear.
So as I was putting our daughter back to bed, I heard you talking something that you allowed me to have my Evolve.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh yeah.
No.
You jealous?
No. Oh, that is a competitive. She's got a poke. I said, you know what? You got better at a shot, and you gave me 2 great kids, so you upgraded.
Yeah, no, we got the Evolve in, and then all of a sudden it was, well, you have the Evolve, and I'm gonna get Evolve, and I just got my old bow, and it's so much easier for you to shoot because it's 90% let off.
It'll help keep you up with the what's happening in archery and the advancements and stuff if you're sort of both improving and getting up.
I mean, well, that's all the new technology that's put behind them. The Herc Cam series compared to the cams that are on my bow, Herc Cams are so much more advanced, and that's why there's such a huge difference in the let off amount. Like my bow is only a 65% let off, but Steph's bow is up to 90%, and it's. I mean, there's video examples of her bow that someone put a sight on, an arrow rest, and a stabilizer. They pulled it on a bow scale to check the top weight. The accessories were so heavy on it that the bow stood fully opened because of the weight of the bow and because of the weight of the accessories.
Wow.
So at 70 pounds, you're only holding 7 pounds when the bow's all the way open.
Yeah, it's like holding nothing.
Yeah, and my bow, it's 72, and I'm holding 31 right now.
Yeah.
So it's a shoulder killer.
Yeah, that's quite a difference.
You're drifting away from the picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See?
Snuggle in.
I don't got cooties, but if I did, you already got them.
Yeah, no kidding. 2 kids
Surprise!
later.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Andrew said only the best for the queen of the castle. So
of course.
That's right.
Obviously.
It's like Stargate said, happy wife, happy life.
yeah, that's the one. Cool. So with
until our daughter gets to be a teenager, then it's like,
will she be
it's
the
mutiny.
queen of the castle?
No.
Okay. They're cute kids, and it is awesome that you guys make family time too, because and that you do make they are a part of what you do rather than, not being involved. I think that's amazing. Having hobbies and including the family is really cool, but also getting out and spending quality time together is just awesome. And with the wedding that's coming up, it sounds like with 3 days, it's quite a way to connect with everybody who's coming to the wedding. I think that's incredible to have that much time.
Well, that whole trip that we're going on, because it's Thanksgiving week here in the States. So we're going to be going up to New York the weekend before. So we're going to be seeing all of our family, both sides, because both sides of our family are still in New York. Plus, when we go to the wedding, I have family from everywhere coming in, from Canada. Yes. And, but all the family from Florida is going to be there. I'm going to be there from here, New York, like I said, Canada. I don't think anyone of the family from Italy is coming, but which is fine. It would be a huge trip. So,
and we do have to connect because we can't leave the property. We're kind of stuck on the resort, so they don't watch us. No, there's no family feuding going on, so that's actually a good thing.
That's cool.
I should say.
Yeah. And you did mention
fighting.
that you've got more family members who are getting into archery too, which is really cool.
Yes.
One of them wants a pink bow.
Yeah,
everything
I did
pink.
hear that.
No, black with pink accents.
Yeah. Well, she's also the one that told us that if we won the lotto, we have to buy her a pink Hummer with pink interior and pink anything. Pink everything that you could possibly make pink. Like if you could make pink tires, she'd probably want pink tires.
She knows what she
You know
wants,
I'm
I
right.
guess. So.
Yeah, that's why I had to stop and think about that. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Bedazzles.
Yes. Well, her Harley had Betty Boop airbrushed onto the fuel tank.
Listen, you can't argue when a woman is driving a bedazzled Harley that's pink, but then she's, carrying a gun and she could probably kill you without the gun. So
Yeah.
That sounds kind of formidable, but yeah. Just before we come to the end of this session today, in terms of where your podcasting is going and connections you've made with your audience, are there any that stand out there? Like you've had reached some milestones with downloads and things, but where do your community hang out and how do you connect with them?
I was happy when we saw one download. I was like, someone downloaded us, they saw us, they liked us, they downloaded us. And then when they came back for a second one, that meant they actually heard us, listened to the whole thing, and was like, this is a good idea, so I'm going to do it again.
We do have one we do have one listener in particular who kind of asked Steph to please stop doing bow slings to the pattern of his bow, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
Because he talks to us all the time. And he's like, can you please stop? It's like a drug habit. I think he's bought like 5 from you so far. I believe.
I think I've sent him one too.
I mean, the connections we've made through the podcast are.
Well, okay, let me put it this way, because I know you're kind of searching for words right now.
If
we had never started podcasting,
words are hard.
Words are hard. Wait, no. Hashtag words are hard as a tattoo. Hashtag tattoo.
Tattoo.
So
there you go.
Honestly, like if you put it in perspective, if we didn't start podcasting, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't know everyone that we know now. We would have never had any discussions that we've had. Hashtag. And so I mean, you kind of think about it like, okay, well, what has it really done for me? But then if you look and if you look at the part in your life that, okay, I could have went this way or this way. If you never went one way, then all the things in your life now would have either not been the same or half would have been the same. Or so if we never got into this, then think of all the people that we wouldn't know.
That is very true. There's, I mean, realistically, us getting into this podcast alone has led to so many different connections. I mean, hell, that's how I met you on the server, and you've introduced me alone to so many different podcasts. And I started off listening to, I think one of the first ones you mentioned to me was Adam's podcast with his wife, Mom and Dad Cuss a Little, which I thought was absolutely hysterical because me and her being mom and dad, we can completely relate to everything they were saying.
You could do a spinoff of Mom and Dad Cuss a Lot.
Yeah, that would probably be us.
But I mean, it's good though that we have met you, because once we get our house, we want to go to like solar and whatnot. So
I'm sure there'll be tons of questions.
Questions galore.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You'd be like, sorry, bad connection, can't hear you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Not sorry. I'm happy that I filled up your playlist with lots of different suggestions, because that's one good way to hear about what kind of podcasts there are out there, is by sharing it word of mouth. I really appreciate it when it happens, when people shout out Sunshine and PowerCuts or Powershine and Suncuts, whatever way you want to.
Power. Yeah, I love it. And I was just talking to Anthony before this. I was like, I'm going to say Powershine and Suncuts just to throw you off beforehand, because he gets a little weird with when you have live in a podcast or an episode, like, because we don't edit ours, so it's the same thing as live.
Yeah.
But he has that little net. And
no, ours doesn't bother me because it's just me and you. We're recording a conversation, and I think that's one of the biggest things. Like we took with our podcast, with I guess the liberties of the fact that we don't really do any editing, because we base it on the conversation. It just has to flow the way it's going to flow, because this is the way me and her talk to each other, and it made it so much easier. And I think that's one of the biggest things that separates us from a lot of the other archery or hunting groups. There seems to be certain questions everyone goes by, certain guidelines everyone goes by, and I kind of didn't want to follow that. But
it also makes it relatable when you have that conversation between the two of you.
Yeah, I like it to. I wanted it to be more of a real experience. So, like when they're listening to us, it's not always about archery and that topic sometimes, but it's us actually saying what we actually want to say or what's on our mind or anything like that. Instead of scripted, where you go through and you're like, well, I shouldn't really say that, so let me edit that out and wait, let me go back because we might get cut from, you know, all the stuff YouTube's doing now. We might get cut because of this, or you know what? If whatever happens, happens, and who cares? It was meant to happen for some reason.
Yeah.
Cutting the shine and sun power. Larko.
It's good to see you there, Larko. Thanks to everybody who has come by today to the live chat and participated and asked questions. Does anyone have any final questions for Anthony and Steph before they head off today? I wanted to say to you guys that I really appreciate my connection with you too, like everybody, but like you've been real supportive in the Podcasters Discord server. I appreciate you both being here and joining me live on YouTube. To talk about those connections. Your relationship and the fact that you're doing podcasting together is really inspiring. I love listening to you guys. It's entertaining. I don't have a background in archery, but I really enjoy it. And if I did ever want to get into it, it'd be the same. I'd have 10 million questions for you. So I'd be happy to share back and forth with the solar off-grid stuff and the archery stuff. Because like you said, it is really like you enjoy it for the release and the, you know, what you get out of it, as well as the technical stuff and the competitive edge between you guys. So you are amazing. You've come a long way in podcasting, especially since I first met you at the end of last year, I think it was. And so hats off to you guys. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And could the question that was just asked, I don't know if we can say that on live.
What?
Can you read it? How do you guys remain such a good team? Question. Y'all seem to play really well off each other.
Hashtag true love.
There you go.
Hashtag not appropriate for a live episode.
No, what the, come on. We keep everything light, is what it is. I mean, we know like the certain things we have to do. You know, I know every day I'm going to go to work because I have to make sure everything at home is okay, and you take care of everything at home. So why are you smirking? You got something about to roll out.
Hashtag unemployed.
Yeah, whatever. You know, but I mean, after all that stuff,
you don't sweat the small stuff anymore. I mean, shit happens, life happens.
PJ.
Oh,
it's okay. It's all good. Don't worry. Carry on.
Crud.
You don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah.
And, you know, it just, whatever happens. I mean, there's some days it's going to be harder than others. But the thing is, you can't appreciate the better days without the harder ones, because you won't have anything to compare it to. You don't appreciate the better days too when you're at a high point. So we've made past mistakes, and we've went our roller coaster through, you know, tougher times and better. And, you know, you learn that, okay, we've made it through these times, so this is not that bad. Or we've learned like how to get around it, or so then you don't bring in, you know, the dumb little fights that people do and bickering about everything and arguing and pointing out all the little things that someone else does, where, you know, some people that ends up fighting all the time, and then it just goes downhill from there. Then you don't even remember what your original fight was about, and don't go to bed angry.
Yeah. Can I just point out
thing
that you guys, because you guys are doing archery together, and I'm guessing that requires communication. The same with podcasting, requires communication. You guys obviously have a good way of communicating with each other, and I know that sometimes we can be misunderstood and all that stuff, but you seem to do a really good job at talking with each other. You set a time to spend that time doing the podcast together. It was the same with Perry and Lindsay Johnson from Hello Life WTF and the pod staff who joined me back in March. They are also a married couple doing their podcast together, and it does take a lot to do that and also share that with everyone, because you kind of might work through stuff as the conversation flows or what have you. But in your last episode, I think that's one that people should really listen to, because it has a good background on your connection with each other, that you you enjoy spending time with each other. Essentially, you want each other to be better and do the best that you can. And so you're lifting each other up and you're helping each other get through life together and with your family. So
absolutely. One of the biggest things I think that makes us work so well with each other is we literally like feed off what the other one's doing.
And the fact that I'm awesome, but
okay.
Hashtag awesome.
No, we do.
Come on, like... you met me and I played video games. I was into cars. I shoot a bow. I shoot a gun.
Yes. We make fun of you when you run out of ammunition and guns and you don't know and you keep pulling the trigger looking at the gun like something's wrong. Oh. Yeah.
So you've got a lot of stuff in common.
It's true though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's tons of stuff that's in common. It's just we like to see, both of us have it where in us that we want to see the other one do better.
Yeah.
Like if I get down on myself, she gets angry at me and tells me stop doing that. She does it to herself and I'm stupid. And I get mad at her. I'm like, stop doing that. There's no reason to do it. Yeah. You know, so the whole idea is it called referred to as like self-loathing, I guess, where you're putting yourself down. Neither of us like that when the other one does it.
So you're lifting each other up.
Like, I guess. Yes, very much so.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can put my boot up his butt when he needs it. That was PG.
That's cool. Do you want to please tell everyone where they can find the Off Center Archers podcast itself and where to connect with you on social media? That would be cool.
Okay, so the podcast itself is found on pretty much everywhere that I was able to get it syndicated. It's on Podbean, it's on iTunes, it's on all the iTunes podcatchers, it's on Google Play, it's on Stitcher.
Well, iTunes is not video yet. It's just a sound or audio.
Everything that's the word. Was just audio, honey.
Well, when you said YouTube,
I didn't say YouTube yet.
Oh, okay. Reverse, take that back. Woo. Okay, keep going.
Okay, and the audio video podcast is actually on YouTube now. Thank you, Steph.
Yay.
Everything else, it's on. All of the tags are Off Center Archers on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and then you have your.
And then Shooting Skulls is at shooting _ skulls. Right. Yeah, I always forget that. And for my store, it's shootingskulls.etsy.com.
Awesome. I definitely recommend people should check that out because they're beautiful. I love the colors that you use and they're so creative and it's awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today. Loved hearing about your stories of connection and celebrating with you. All the best for your wedding anniversary coming up and everything that you guys have got going on. I'm looking forward to listening to your next episode and might see you in the chat later in the week or something, but we'll catch up.
And
thank you both.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah? Oh, sorry.
And that's to everybody in the group. I've offered it to Banjo before. If anyone's ever in South Carolina and you want to learn how to shoot a bow, hit me up and we will take you to the range and I will gladly show anyone how to shoot.
It's amazing. So that means I just have to get to the States. That'd be awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, you keep planning that trip that we keep hearing about.
That's a long flight.
See?
I hope you're a drinker.
I think it's amazing that I've made these connections across the world and we'll hear about them this week. But yeah, I definitely do want to come and visit everyone because I think it would be incredible to meet you all in person and just, I don't know, celebrate with you guys in real life. But it's awesome that we get to do it this way on video. So again,
could you imagine we were able to get everybody in one area? That would be an epic podcast.
She's trying to cut it, and this is our issue with our podcast.
I mean, I'd love to, but I've got to go and celebrate my niece's first birthday, so I'm going to go and do that after this. So it's been a fantastic first day, and hopefully everyone gets through the night with the teething with your little girl, and you have a good sleep, and I'll catch up with you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Okay. That was awesome. And I've just got here Anthony and Steph's logo, which is really awesome. We didn't talk about that this time. Maybe we'll do it another time. I kind of forgot. But definitely check them out. Check out their podcast and check out everything. And I'll put the links in the description for this video. Thank you to everybody who came by the live chat. You're